Hello. God bless you. Welcome again to my channel. This is a quick video. I wanted to pay attention to what I'm about to say. The ministry of a prophet. A prophet is not a church member. I know most of you've been hearing about prophets, and sometimes there's a misconception about it. A prophet is a friend of God. A prophet is a friend of God. A prophet is the voice of God to a generation. A prophet is the face of God to a generation. Face of God to a generation. A prophet is not... There are things I would say that most of you might... you may not believe it, but pay attention. A prophet is not a church member. A prophet is not a church person, someone that goes to church. Yes, he might be a member of a church, but he's not really a member of a church the way you think, because he's a friend of God. A prophet is a carrier of secrets, divine secrets. The Bible said, God speaking, he said, that God will not do anything on the earth except he has revealed it to his servant the prophet. Before God takes any decision on the earth realm, he speaks to a prophet. And sometimes a prophet can change the mind of God. Sometimes a prophet can change God's mind. A prophet can change the mind of God. When you are talking about fivefold ministry, pastor, evangelist, prophet, apostle, teacher, right? A prophet is different, because prophets are not called, they are chosen from their mother's womb. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, the Bible says, before you formed me in my mother's womb, you knew me, and you ordained me a prophet to the nations. So prophets are not called, they are chosen, and they are set apart by God. God chooses them before they are born. Sometimes when they are born, the person might grow up maybe naughty, maybe as an unbeliever the first time, but the mark of a prophet is upon him. The mark is already on him. But let me go back to what I'm saying, because I want to explain some things to you about a prophet. A prophet is not just somebody that prophesies. Just because you prophesy doesn't make you a prophet. There is the gift of prophecy, and there is the office of a prophet. Now, the gift of prophecy, is different. Anybody can have the gift of prophecy. But the office of a prophet is the person that holds the mantle of a prophet. He holds the mantle. It's a mantle. And God chooses prophets. You don't maneuver it. It's not manipulated. You don't become a prophet because your spiritual father is a prophet, so he lays hands on you and you become a prophet. No, you don't get it by laying of hands. That your spiritual father is a prophet and he prays for you, you think you become a prophet. No, you have to be chosen by God to be a prophet. All right? A prophet is not somebody that goes to church. Yes, he might be going to church, he might be a church member, but he's an entity. God has a different calendar for prophet. God treats prophet differently. Now, when you go through the entire Bible, you observe that there are few people that God revealed himself to. God can appear bodily to a prophet. Bodily to a prophet. God can speak to a prophet faster, and quicker than any other person, because prophets are isolated. They don't easily make friends. That is, if they make friends. Prophets don't make friends. They are not social beings. You will not see a prophet hanging around. They don't loiter around. That's how to know a prophet. They are strange people. They are always by themselves. They are always locked in, because they like that space. They want to be on their own. A prophet always wants to be on his own, because they get signals. A prophet gets signals from God very fast. So they live a very isolated life. They are separated. They want to be on their own. They like their own space. Let me use that word. They like their own space. All right. If you are a lady and you are getting married, and the person you want to marry is in the ministry, ask him what area of ministry. If he's a prophet, you have to really need to study him. Yes, because prophets can be strange. What you are thinking sometimes might not be what they are thinking. They can be very strange. If you don't understand them, you might be having issues with them. So you will need grace. Ask God for grace. If you are a woman, you are listening to me, and your husband is in the prophetic ministry, you really need to ask God for grace to understand him, because they are different beings. They are different kind of people. All right. The Bible says that a prophet is a fool. A prophet is a fool because there are strange things they do that you may not understand, and they are doing it on divine instructions. They are doing it on divine instructions. All right. So a prophet is a friend of God. A prophet is the voice of God to a generation. A prophet is the face of God to a generation. A prophet is not called. They are chosen by God, and they are very few. They are very few. Okay. And they don't always open churches. Prophets don't pastor churches. They rarely pastor churches. They might be members of a church, but they might not be a pastor of a church, because a prophetic ministry is totally different. They might have prayer ministry. But they don't always become pastors of a church. All right. All right. What else can I say about prophets? So I say they are chosen before they are born. While they are yet in their mother's womb, God chose them. And you cannot manipulate yourself to be a prophet. Just because a prophet laid hands on you doesn't make you a prophet. You might operate in the prophetic gift, but that doesn't make you a prophet. So God reveals secrets to prophets. A prophet is a carrier of secrets. They carry a lot of divine secret. Before God does anything, he speaks to a prophet. Before God takes any decision, he speaks to a prophet. And prophets can change the will of God. A prophet can change the mind of God. Among all the ministry gifts, the major people that can easily change the mind of God is a prophet, because they are very close to God, and they are very they pay attention to holiness. A genuine prophet will preach holiness and righteousness. So it's not that somebody is a prophet and the person is living in sin. No. They are very, very blunt when it comes to sin. That's one of the ways you know a prophet. All right. So let me say a few of these things. And one last thing I want to say is this. If you know somebody who is a prophet and the person is living in sin, you see, one thing about prophetic ministry is that if you are not careful, you will die young. If you are not careful, you will die young. Because a prophet cannot live in sin. A prophet cannot live in sin. I remember God was speaking to me about something. He said, if you don't do what I said, I will kill you. And most of the instructions God gave me, when he speaks to me, he said, if you don't do this, I will kill you. He's very strict with prophets. God is very strict. Excuse me. The reason that he's strict with prophets is that he reveals himself to them. He talks to them often. A prophet hears the voice of God like this, very fast. They can pick divine signals, So being a prophet is not just that somebody look at you and call your name, tell you your date of birth. Those are elementary levels about prophecy. That somebody can call your social security number. That's elementary. A prophet is a carrier of a secret from heaven. There are things God will tell a prophet and instruct him not to tell anybody. And he will keep his mouth shut. For his lifetime, he will not say it. For entire lifetime, he will not say it. There are things God has shown me and he will tell me, don't tell anybody. and I'll keep it to myself. So it's important you understand that a prophet is not a regular person. He's not a regular person. Just understand it. They are not regular people. They are strange people. They can take strange decisions. All right. You have to really, really observe them to understand them. Sometimes they will do things that you don't understand. So you really have to ask God for grace, especially if you're the wife of a prophet. You need grace from God to understand your husband. You know, he's not like a pastor or a teacher or apostle. You are talking about somebody that God appears to. So you really need grace to understand that kind of human being. All right, I just say let me do this quick video, share it with friends. Now when I'm talking about prophets, I'm not talking about charlatan prophets, false prophets that live in sin and they are prophesying. You know, if somebody is living in sin and prophesying, he's not a prophet. So I just say let me say this. God bless you.